I'm live. Yes, I am live. Ha ha ha. Anyway, well, I wanted to talk a little bit about, and it's not showing, okay, using a little clear thinking, okay, some critical thinking, just some basic logic 101 stuff, because we're about to get inundated with all kinds of posts about this, that, and the other thing. And even left wingers have the same problem right wingers do, and that is they don't vet the stuff they're looking at. For example, I got this one. Okay. So let me see if I can. I think if I do this. Oh, okay. Or if I remove. All right. I might have to. Whatever. Okay. I'm just going to stay with this. Or I think the other one was better looking. Anyway, here's the claim. Apparently, a quote from David Hogg. If it came out that a bunch of Democratic influencers were being funded by the Chinese Community Party, I think that's supposed to say Communist Party, but hey, okay. The news would cover it for weeks. So here's another example. If Kamala Harris had 5 different kids by 3 different women and was cheating on her current husband, what kind of news do you think that would make? Okay, so that's what he's, first off, that's where he starts this whole thing. The news would cover it for weeks. All right. But yesterday it came out that a ton of the biggest Republican influencers are being funded by the Russian government, and there's little to no media coverage. When I see a meme, I immediately, especially one with no links, should be your first warning that, yep, the bullshit meter is up, should be up pretty damn high. And in this case, yeah, it should be. But it wasn't. And I didn't get this on Facebook. Yeah. I get this on LinkedIn. So I responded to it and said, this smells like bullshit. And I got what I get from every maggot. Just do a Google search. Really? Come on, left wingers. Don't be maggots. Because usually that means I don't have a fucking clue because I didn't bother to read myself or to check anything myself. I don't believe this kind of thing. First off, huge spelling error right off the bat. Okay. Yesterday it came out that a ton, big capital letters, of the biggest Republican influencers. Now, honestly, I wouldn't know who they were anyway. So, okay. Anyway, so the guy said, do a search. So I thought, fuck, really got to do your work for you? So I did. What I did in the comments was create what that post should have been. So I did. I checked out NPR, AP News, and ABC. And as it turns out, now notice, just watch as this happens here, okay? Because it says the biggest Republican influencers are being funded by the Russian government. Influencers, government. That's the impression, right? Okay. Well, I did. I looked it up. Turns out that is an implication that isn't true and is either being done deliberately or ignorantly. And if you're passing memes that are ignorant, then you have a problem. That just means you're choosing this to confirm your bias, regardless of whether it's true or not. Okay? In this case, it is not true. The implication is not true. The actual results, yes. And here's how that happened. All right, the Justice Department did issue warrants, whatever, for two particular people out of RT News. Okay, are they ever going to catch these people? No. And this isn't new stuff. They've been doing this. I mean, it's so obvious that Trump and the maggots just love Russia and Putin and all that kind of thing. That's not news to us. Influencing an election is still, by a foreign agent, a crime. So these two, through RT News, got a hold of some organization, and you can find this all on, and I can't remember the names right now, but then they went to another organization who then paid money to all these influencers, and I found the names of 3 of them. And that's not quite a ton. And there's probably a few more, but okay, so we can see a couple things that are happening here. One is it was not a direct relationship, as this would imply. Okay, now why would, in fact, I'll share with you a couple. I read all of the articles and I noticed a few words. Duped. Yeah, make all the jokes you want. They're probably right. Unwitting. Yeah, okay. Make all the jokes you want because they're probably true. Secondly, or third, covert. Why would there be all of wouldn't it be easier just for Putin to walk up to, pick up the phone and say, hey, Ben Johnson or Shapiro or whoever, I'm going to give you $5 million and this is what I want you to say. Wouldn't that be easier? I think so. But they built layers in there. They built layers of plausible deniability. Why? Because does Russia funding a ton of the biggest Republican influencers sound like there's any layers of plausible deniability? See the problem? Now we have to start parsing what this thing is saying to determine how true this thing really is. And already we see some weaknesses. This is where don't buy memes. Just don't buy them. And then second, then it ends, and there's little to no media coverage. Which means if I look it up, what would I find? Well, I'll tell you what I found, because I can read that list right here. Oops, I changed that. I found, okay, and here it is. NPR, AP News. If you want to consider the Washington Examiner news, that's news. ABC News, Fortune 500, or fortune.com. All right. Lakeshore Republic Media. Okay. Rolling Stone even took it. NBC News, New York Times. There's actually a bunch of really no-name ones. MSN. PC Magazine, Personal Computing Magazine. Now this is starting to Reuters. New Republic. Time. And Euronews. I'll just mention those. There are more results. And this is, I don't use Google. Washington Post. Well, that's on the third page. The Atlantic. Well, no, that why are Republicans siding with Russia? Interesting in light of the McCarthy era, huh? Anyway, they're starting to get weaker now, but in any event, you kind of get the drift. Guess what? It was in the media. No media coverage. partly one could say, okay, well, the whole maggot world Russia connection and love fest is not news. But we have to be careful because the reason those layers of deniability are in there because A, they know it's a crime, and B, it counters what this says. So now if you were to say, just reword that, you could have said a dozen. Because unless you a ton, what's a ton? A ton of literally 2,000. So unless you can come up with 2,000 of them, you're not talking about a ton. So you could say a lot, many, several, a dozen, several dozen. Okay. And that would be more accurate. And yes, the biggest, I couldn't tell you, I don't know the names, are being funded indirectly by the Russian government would be more accurate. You could say duped by, and you'd be accurate. And there's little to no media coverage would have to be changed to, or just dropped off, because patently that's not true. And as more news organizations start sifting through some of these files and finding what kind of pitch they want to put on this thing, they'll start posting it. But that's how you use a little bit of logic. You don't just buy the meme. If this were an attempt at humor, that might be different. All right. And I've done that. And sometimes I'll post something that's just because I laughed at the way it was done. But that's not the case with David Hogg. So, and where I have issues is when politicians and others begin to pass these things along or take these things as gospel truth and pass them along, and or guys like David Hogg are being groomed for political office when they can't even. And now, mind you, this is just being attributed to David Hogg. Again. Yep. Now, this might have been clipped out of, this looks like something that came from Occupy, whoever they are anymore, Occupy 98% or Occupy Democrats or whatever. All right. So this could have been clipped out of something that had a border and then attached, which would have clarified who this came from. I don't know that came from David Hogg. It just has his picture there. This picture could be years old. And this event just happened yesterday. So that's why memes are a problem. But this is a left-wing meme. So go figure. Let's use our brains and our heads. And when we see stuff like this, do not pass this on unless you have verified it. And if you don't want to take the time to verify it, do not pass it on at all, ever. Okay? Roll right over that. So you don't waste your time. I chose to do that in this particular case so I could use this in this way, but that meant that I had to take that picture off of the other platform. I had to make a PDF out of it, which I could then upload to StreamYard here and use this as part of this presentation as is. Because I argued all these points in the comment thread, except the David Hogg's point, saying, hey, okay, which one of these is more factual to the actual truth? My thread, my comment in this thread, or this meme? And I did it because, you know what, I'm going to use this as a teaching point. Okay. And however many people see this, you might hate Trump and you might hate Biden. I don't care who you hate. Probably don't hate. Let's not do that vibe. You might not abide by their policies, and that's okay. Start questioning policies like I'm questioning memes. and anything that politicians say, just listen to them. It's not hard. But and there's little to no media coverage. Really. Okay, I just found it. And so part of me says then look for these broad, sweeping generalizations. And in memes, look for misspellings, because that means somebody was in a hurry, didn't know what they were doing, and or did not know the English language as a primary language. Okay. So unless the Community Party has taken over in China, yeah, that's a big flag right there. And when politicians say things, guess what we get to do? Apply the same, and if you really want, this is a great little textbook. Just learn how to prep your mind for yes, we know that media coverage is skewed. And we know that. Not a problem, huh? Okay, so that front part's okay. And then we go through the facts of the other part. But still, this is an action that is designed to get you to quit thinking on your own. That's its primary problem. And it's being done by lefties. I have no warm fuzzies that the Democratic Party is my friend. They are not. They are not my friend. They're not your friend either. The maggots might be worse. And in my opinion, yes, they are. Traditional family values? What? That of a man who cheats on every wife he's ever had? It's 5 kids with 3 different women, cheated on his porno wife with another porno wife, with another porn star, for what? And then paid that woman to keep her quiet out of campaign funds, for which he was found guilty. Okay, those family values, or the family values of Robert Morris, who's a pastor in mega church in Dallas, who likes to cozy up with 45. I call him. You ever remember 7 of 9? Yeah, 34 of 45. Yeah, well, you want to see that, you won't see that get very far. Anyway, this pastor likes to cozy up with the former president, and then it comes out, they find out he had sex with a 12-year-old a few years ago. Now, maybe several years ago. Doesn't matter. A sex with a 12-year-old? Those kind of traditional families, or maybe those of Jerry Falwell Jr., who like to watch the pool boy get it on with his wife. All the while being the president of Liberty University, which is why they quietly made Jerry Falwell Jr. go away. Those traditional family values, is that what we're talking about? Or maybe those of Boebert in Colorado, or Marjorie Taylor Greene down in Georgia, I think. Yeah, traditional family values. No, hypocrisy, lies. So we can, with just learning a few things. This, look at this. This is a thin little book. It'll just get you to learn to think on your own. I mean, I'm impartial, because I'm a independent progressive, but when I say progressive, I mean things move forward. Even though it seems like the older I get, I want to slow that down. But that's because humans are not moving forward. I don't want to say we're going backwards, but we're a wounded lot. I'll say that. Anyway, learning to think on our own is not difficult. This is a very, very small book. It's only 127 pages before it gets into the index and stuff. So not huge. Things you can do to learn how to question this kind of stuff, think on your own, which can direct A, the things that you believe, and B, vote for, who you give money to. Me, I keep my money local. Need to be giving it to these political parties that don't give some power. Anyway, there you have it. I'll let it go with that. Have yourselves a great day. Think clearly and independently, y'all. Bye.